Hey everybody, welcome back to The Reason We Learn. I'm Deb Philman, mom, homeschooler, educator. So today I had a long phone conversation with someone I know from Twitter, another educator, fellow educator. And he was asking me about this channel, asking me why I started it, what I wanted to get across, who I thought my audience were. And it got me thinking about that. It got me thinking about caring about kids, what it means to care about children. And he made the point, I thought it was a great point, that increasingly it seems like too many people who are in positions where we either assume they care about kids or they ought to care about kids simply don't. They really don't, not by his definition or my definition. And I realized this channel isn't even for those people. I'm not talking to those people. I'm talking around those people. I'm talking to people who do care the way we do, the way he and I do. And I'm talking to those people who do, but maybe don't know they do yet. They haven't really thought about it. So for the purposes of this conversation, let me first define caring. Caring when it comes to kids is not just having teacher in front of your name or even becoming a teacher, working as a teacher. I don't care how many decades you do it. It doesn't matter. It's not about a title. It's not about the field you're in. It's not about the fact that you're a parent or a grandparent or any other relationship with a child or a caregiver. It's not about any of that. You can have whatever title you want, whatever job you want, assume whatever role you want. That does not, by definition, mean that you care. There are many, many reasons we do things that are not necessarily proof that we care about the people for whom we do them. If there are other people involved. So when there are customer service representatives, for example, who actually don't care about their customers. I think we all know that to be true. But they're customer service representatives. We don't walk around saying, oh, I'm sure they care deeply about the people they serve. No, we don't make that assumption. We judge by their actions. We judge by the service they give, right? And there are plenty of us who've complained that it's clear they don't care about us despite the fact that they have this job. Well, guess what? The same is true of people with teacher in front of their name and even parent. Let's just take a look at the Chicago Public School District. The teachers union there has voted unanimously, 80% at least, or 85%, not to return to work. And as Anna James Ziegler points out, these people are reprehensible. They shouldn't be teaching children whom they clearly disdain. That is very clear. And when I hear people talking about how awful it is that the schools are closed and how the schools ought to be reopened, and we need to push for them to be reopened, all I can think, and all I have thought for months, probably since 2 or 3 months after the lockdowns began and it became clear this was not necessary, meaning closing the schools, I started to realize these teachers don't care about these students. I realized it in a couple of ways. I was tutoring and I saw students who were sent to me for supposedly extra help because they needed help now that they were doing virtual learning. They were having trouble. And I got to see what their parents were seeing for the first time, what was being offered in their virtual experience. And they didn't need tutoring. They needed their teacher to give a damn. They needed their teacher to not phone it in. And before somebody writes in the comments, they're caring teachers and they do care and they're very sad and then all that. Okay, super, awesome. I hope they've quit. I hope they've already quit. I hope they quit months ago. I hope they found a way to reinvent themselves and go online and create a new line of income for themselves. And they're teaching on Outschool and they're teaching in Varsity Tutors and they're teaching in some other vehicle, or they've found another teaching job, or maybe they're starting another education company so they can teach kids right away and get their needs met. Or I hope the virtual learning experience they're providing is above and beyond. I hope they're available, for phone calls and emails from parents and they're accessible. And I hope they're not one of these people threatening to go out on strike if they have to go back in a classroom. But if they are one of those people and they haven't done the things that I've described, then no, I'm sorry, don't believe that. If they've attended trainings where they're told that because they're white, they're engaging in spirit murder of children because they're white, and they didn't get up and walk out and say, I'm not doing this. I'm not going to allow myself to be spoken to this way, and I'm not going to go into a classroom and ever tell a child what you're telling me I should tell a child. I'm never going to do it. and I reject this. And if you didn't gather a bunch of other people together and have them say the same and threaten to walk out based on that, if you didn't threaten to strike and threaten to quit based on these critical race theory trainings you're being forced to undergo, you'll never get my sympathy. You will never get me to believe that you care about children. You don't. You don't. Or if you think you do, you're delusional and you don't understand children and you have no business being around children and you're trying to work out some kind of psychological issue you have through children. In which case, please stay far away from them because no adult should ever do that, ever. I don't care if you're a parent, you shouldn't do that. So when I talk about caring, I'm talking about people who understand, name of this channel, the reason we learn in the first place, whether it's in school or not, the reason we learn. I'll tell you, it's because we're human beings. We're human beings. Human beings are endowed with the gift of the capacity to learn at a rate and a level of depth that other living things don't have. Other living things don't have that. Your most brilliant animal doesn't have the capacity for learning we have. So the reason we learn is we're human. The reason we learn is that as humans, we are able to make choices about our lives that go beyond our instincts and beyond just simply getting older, reproducing, and dying. And as such, we need to learn about all the different choices we could possibly make and how to weigh them and how to decide which ones are best for us and how to choose the ones that will enhance our survival, and not just our survival breathing in and out, but our ability to thrive and be happy. Something else human beings have a capacity for that animals, as far as we know, don't have to the same degree. I'm not saying they can't be happy. I think we know they can, and sad and depressed and all those other feelings. But we have the ability to choose happiness. And we know that we do. I can't say that for animals. I don't know. Don't know if their happiness is reactive or it's proactive. We have the ability to choose our reactions to things to a much greater degree. And so we learn because we need to be able to choose reactions that enhance our lives, that do not create problems for us above and beyond the problem we're reacting to. We need to be able to cope because problems will occur, whether we make fabulous choices or not. Things will happen like pandemics and economic downturns and people doing terrible things to us. People are victims of crime. People die. People in our lives we care about die or get sick. We get sick. We get hurt. We lose jobs. We lose relationships. Things will happen to us whether we make all the right choices or not. And definitely if we don't, and we all make mistakes. So the reason we learn is to cope with those things in life we cannot always control. Because if we can't cope, we're in trouble. If we can't cope, first thing that happens is psychologically we suffer. And in our psychological suffering, we make poor choices. We make self-defeating choices very often. And in those self-defeating choices, sometimes we end up sick or worse. And so the reason we learn is to make choices even within our pain, so we can cope with things like what's been going on. And coping well doesn't mean finding scapegoats, people to blame, people to envy, people to hate. That's not coping well. That's not coping at all. So to me, caring adults, people who care about children, put these ideas at the forefront of what they're doing. Right up front and center. They care about helping kids learn to cope. They care about helping kids learn to function as human beings, first and foremost. And the academics come second. Academics are important. They need knowledge to function and survive too. They need these skills. But skills in the absence of the ability to cope will do you no good. They will do you no good. You could be the most brilliant person when it comes to a given area, given subject area. But if you cannot cope with problems in life and you don't have self-esteem, real self-esteem, the kind that comes from falling down and getting back up again, the kind that comes from having healthy boundaries and seeing other people around you that have healthy boundaries, having healthy adults around you to teach you to model coping, then you could be brilliant. Academically, it doesn't matter. And then likewise, you could know how to cope really well, but if you can't read, I suppose actually if you can cope really well, you'd probably be able to figure out how to teach yourself to read. But it sure would help. Because sometimes coping involves reading, whether it's an article or a book or, even just literature to cheer you up, that can help, or a letter from a friend. It, involves being able to communicate effectively when you're in pain so you can get the help you need, things like that. So that is important. But I would say if we are not at every level teaching our children how to be individuals, how to care about themselves, how to individuate, how to be okay alone, how to be okay in a group, how to be okay no matter what else is going on, to understand where they end and other people begin, to understand where the problems around them are caused by them or caused by other people or just caused by things totally beyond their control. I feel like today we teach kids in school in particular to try to change things they really can't change. They really can't, as individuals, effectively go change how the justice system works, for example, or how the penal system works, or how, our economics work. They can't individually make those kinds of changes. They can't go out and change the world, but they can change themselves. They can change how they look at the circumstances in which they find themselves. They can change their reactions to things. They can look at their own power differently. They can perceive their own power, first of all, teaching them they have it. They have personal power. They have this magnificent brain. They have some inborn talent or ability that maybe they haven't discovered yet. It's kind of like a rare gem they have to find, and adults can help them do that by exposing them to different stimuli and asking them questions and getting to know them, who they are as individuals, not assigning them to a group and saying, this is who you are. That's not caring. You're not validating anything about that little individual human sitting in front of you when you assign them to a group or a tribe or a class and say, this is who you are. Let's put you on a matrix. You're not caring, not about that person. Maybe you're caring about yourself. You're caring about, again, acting out some kind of envy or pain that you've gone through, and somehow you think this will help you. But it's cruel. It's abuse. And people like that shouldn't be around children. So I'm angry at the teachers union, but not necessarily because of what they're doing now. What they're doing now is just being true to form. I could have told you they'd do this. Anybody with half a brain could have told you they would do this, because they don't care about kids. And the proof they didn't care about kids is, well, first of all, they joined a union. They support their union. They haven't fought back against their union, which is not student focused. Most caring teachers I know, really truly caring teachers, the way I'm describing caring, left union jobs a long time ago. They left them a long time ago. They wouldn't be in them. They don't want to be in an organization that does what unions do. They don't fool themselves into believing that the union cares about the kids, or that the union cares about them even as caring people who care about kids. No, they don't. So, you can throw hate my way all you want, but that's my opinion. I really believe that, because I don't see any evidence whatsoever of caring the way I'm describing it. It is not caring to teach a child anti-racist beliefs. It is not caring to teach a child critical race theory. It is not caring to teach a child they have no agency. It is not caring to teach a child they're a victim. They have no internal locus of control. That they're in pain because of other people. And that the only thing they can do about it is fight. That they can't look at the situation they're in and say, okay, well, here you are. What are you going to do about it? You can't change those people. And I have news for you. There will always be racist people, no matter what you do. You can put in place all kinds of programs, all kinds of training programs, and you will, if you do the right kind of training program, you might improve things, but not with anti-racism. You won't. You'll make it worse. And then what? Then what are you going to do? So I'm here making these videos to reach other caring people, other caring adults out there, whether they're parents, teachers, grandparents, caregivers, who hear what I'm saying and do care about making sure that little humans can grow up to be big humans who see themselves as individuals, who recognize their own strengths and weaknesses and are okay with those. They're okay not knowing everything. They're okay saying, I need help. They're okay saying, I'm going through a tough time right now, but you know what? I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay because I have the power within me to pull myself up and get on with it. And I'm not talking bootstrap, Horatio Alger kind of stuff. I'm talking about I have the strength and the stamina it takes to survive in this world. And I can learn. I can learn something new. Lost that job, I'll learn something new. The field I was in closed down. I'm going to learn something new. I'm going to figure it out. I'm not going to look to somebody else to save me. I'm not looking for a rescuer. I'm looking for allies, real allies, friends, comrades, peers. I don't use the term comrades like a communist. I mean, people who are with me and believe in me in my fight for myself, not against other people. And that's it. But I'm not looking for a savior. I'm not looking for a rescuer. I'm not looking for a handout. Because I have power. I am a free person. As long as I can breathe in and out and think my own thoughts, I am free. Even behind bars, I am free. Think about the people who escaped from slavery and walked hundreds of miles to freedom using the Underground Railroad and taught themselves to read, taught themselves everything they need to know, created careers for themselves. Think about people like Frederick Douglass. These are people who went through real hardship and came out the other side. Think of people who endured Jim Crow restrictions and still made a little middle-class life for themselves and raised a family and had dignity and pride and held their heads high in spite of people spitting at them and sicking dogs on them and burning crosses on their front lawns. And I'm not in any way, shape, or form excusing any of that behavior. Disgusting. But I stand in awe of those people that they did it, that they held their heads high and they said, you think what you want about me. I know who I am. And I'm free. And here we are all these years later, and legally these kids are free. Legally, they're free to pursue whatever they want. And we're putting them back in chains. We're putting chains on their brains when we tell them they're victims. I won't do it. And so this channel is for all the people who agree with me on that front, who think it's uncaring to sit and complain about closed schools without doing anything proactive to get your kids a proper education, to give your kids experiences that put them in contact with their peers, even if schools are closed. But let's not pretend that the teachers cared. Let's not pretend that the teachers who weren't fighting tooth and nail to get the schools open for the kids' mental health cared. Or that they didn't teach them how to be self-reliant and strong and brave all the way along as individuals, that they cared about anything but their political goals. Because I don't buy it. I'm not buying it. I look at the results. Just the same way I would decide that the rep on the other end of the phone at AT&T didn't care about me when they hung up on me 3 times or kept asking me for the same information over and over, or ultimately told me it was my fault. The fact that they had customer service in front of their name didn't make any difference. And the same should be true of teacher. We don't automatically get that benefit of the doubt. We look at results. So that's why this channel is here. That's my definition of caring. I do care. I care about your children. I care about my children. I care about all children. And they deserve better than they're getting right now in America. So let's do everything we can to give it to them, shall we? Thanks for watching. If you like this content, I hope you will subscribe to the channel, like this video, comment on this video, share this video.